if China wants to come in and play the role of spoiler, of course that option is available to them.
The option of being a spoilsport was available, and China indeed availed it throughout India's year-long G20 presidency. But here's something China needs to accept.
We are India. We know how to handle the world.
Here's how China played spoilsport at this year's G20, but India sees through China's methods. I'm Shivan Chandna. Let's get to the point. China had an issue with practically everything India did in its G20 presidency, starting right from the summit slogan to the draft declaration. China opposed India using the phrase Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam in G20 documents on grounds that Sanskrit is not a recognized language at the United Nations. China argued that its Belt and Road Initiative should be included in the outcome document if it included India's Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. Now, China also objected to India's G20 Millets Initiative, Maharishi, because it was a Sanskrit term. China, of course, was the only voice objecting to this phrase. No other nation found anything objectionable, and India, of course, retained the Sanskrit phrase regardless. China's habit of putting a spanner in the works was evident long before President Xi Jinping officially announced that he would not attend the summit in New Delhi. China objected to India holding G20 meetings in Kashmir and Arunachal Pradesh, which they called disputed lands. Well, the reality is that 100,000 participants from around 125 countries all over the world have arrived in India through the course of its G20 presidency and attended these meetings, including in areas China claimed to be disputed lands. Now, Kashmir and Arunachal Pradesh have always belonged to India, and issuing new maps is not going to change anything. Just days ahead of the G20 summit, China went ahead and issued a new standard map showing India's Arunachal Pradesh and Aksai Chin Plateau in Kashmir as its official territory. Of course, India was not shocked if that was the result Beijing was aiming for. But many other countries were not silent on the map adventurism of China. Now, you can draw all the lines you want on paper, but when it comes to its actual lines on the border, India knows how to defend them very well. This makes one ask the question, till when will this inflatable dragon go on pumping itself before it goes bust? Just days ahead of the G20 summit, a belligerent Chinese ambassador to Nepal, Chen Song, tried to meddle with India's historic ties with one of its closest neighbors. He projected India in negative light while pitching China as a better partner for Nepal.
Unfortunately, you had a neighbor like India. India's policy towards Nepal and other neighbors are not so friendly and not so beneficial to Nepal.
This again backfired on China, as Nepal condemned the statements, calling them undiplomatic. Now, with its president skipping the G20 summit, it would appear as if China attempted to malign India's presidency of the multilateral grouping. But seeing how other world leaders have reacted to China's recent antics, it seems the move has reflected poorly on China than affect India's image in any manner. Whether it's G20 or the recently concluded ASEAN summit where Xi Jinping was missing, as China has always been uncomfortable at multilateral fora where it does not get to have its way. Xi Jinping missing the Southeast Asian meetings again reflected on China with all the dispute his country has with practically all members of ASEAN. Will he skip the upcoming APEC meet in November as well? And visit local Chinese hit by floods, rains and poverty as he did just when leaders were gathering in Delhi for G20? Maybe he should. It's good to listen to people he's ruling without any real mandate, and probably for life. Because the sands are shifting under his feet. Even Communist Party leaders know it, and they gave him a drubbing recently for it. What do you think of China's selective amnesia when it comes to participation in multilateral fora like G20? Is it going to help China burnish its global image in any manner? Let me know in the comments.